A trillion is a 1 with 12 zeros after it. It is a huge number. If you settle down to count to a trillion without pausing to sleep, eat or visit the toilet, one number a second, it would take you more than 30,000 years, which is almost as long as modern humans have lived in Europe. And that, according to research by Global Financial Integrity, a think tank in Washington, D.C., is how much money in dollars is being stolen from the world's poorest countries every year. With $1 trillion, you could buy any company in the world outright. You could pay off Russia's entire external debt twice with change. Which raises a question. If such a huge amount of money is being stolen, where is it? The answer is that it's all around us. It's just hidden. And that raises another question. How? If you've stolen enough money to buy an island, how do you hang on to it long enough to take ownership of the island without anyone asking you where you got it from? How do you hide $1 trillion? You may think you know the answer to this, that you just need to stick your loot in a tax haven somewhere and they'll keep your secret safe forever. But that's out of date. The world has changed and criminals have changed with it, especially really big criminals, the ones with the most to hide. So, here is a guide to how to do it in 5 easy steps. And step 1 is an easy one. Forget what you think you know. The best place to hide money these days is not a Caribbean island or a mountainous principality. It's in a large archipelago just off the coast of Europe, the UK. And how can the UK help you? With its cheap, convenient companies. If, instead of owning a property in your own name, you own it via a company, it keeps your fingerprints off it. It's like wearing gloves to commit a robbery. If you use a company, you look legitimate. And the secret is this. The British system of company regulation contains an enormous loophole. One you can drive $1 trillion through without touching the sides. So, on to step 2, which is straightforward. Set up a company. Log on to the Companies House website, choose a company name, fill in the form, pay your £12 fee, and wait for the confirmation to come through. It'll take you less than 24 hours. You may notice while filling in the form that you have to provide your name and address, and you may find this concerning. How can this company be the anonymous vehicle you need to commit fraud if you have to identify yourself? Do not worry, all will become clear. Onwards to step 3, which is so simple that it seems impossible. When you're filling in the form, exploit the loophole and lie. No one checks the information you provide. Look at some of these jolly people on the Companies House register. XXX Stalin of France. Miss Tracy Dean XXX is there too, plus her cousin Jet XXX. And topping even them, there's Mr. XXXX XXX. If you find them strange, what about Mr. MMMMMMMMYYYYYYYYYYYY? Or indeed Mr. MMMMMMMXXXXXXXXXXX, who gives his correspondence address as And don't just make up your name, make up your details too. Invent everything. People have owned companies despite being too young to have even been born yet. Thousands have been under the age of 2. A 2-month-old had not only found time to set up a company, but also to get married. Why go to all the trouble of creating an expensive and suspicious anonymous company in a tax haven when you can do it right here in the UK for the price of a round of drinks? But you say, what good is a company owned by someone whose address is the chorus of a Crash Test Dummy song? No one is going to believe that that is a legitimate business. A good question, which takes us to step 4. Don't just lie. Lie cleverly. Learn from the group of fraudsters who stole the identity of one of their victims, an Australian called Martin Maponda, and registered their companies to him. The companies looked perfectly legitimate, But when their victims complained and the police came looking, there was no one to find except a blameless pensioner. And don't use your own address either. Rent a mailbox at a service address. Paul Manafort used one in Finchley, but there are hundreds of options available. They all pass casual inspection and insulate you from discovery. So, to paraphrase the first 4 steps: avoid tax havens, use a British shell company to own your money on your behalf, lie when you register, but lie plausibly. And on to step 5. Don't worry about it, no one will care. Last year, we learned Danske Bank's Estonian branch had moved 200 billion euros of suspect cash, the biggest money laundering scandal in history, and the majority of it was hidden behind British shell companies. How did the British politicians respond? They didn't. 5 years ago, we learned Ukraine's president had hidden his stolen property empire behind British shell companies. How did British politicians respond? They didn't. Only one man has ever been prosecuted for creating a British company with false information, and that was Kevin Brewer, a businessman from Warwickshire who created firms in politicians' names specifically to warn them about how easy it was to create a fake company. For blowing the whistle, he ended up £23,324 worse off in fines and costs. $1 trillion is being stolen, and Britain is helping to hide it, but no one with any power cares. So go ahead, get to work. That money's not going to hide itself. This script was written by Oliver Bullough, author of Moneyland, Why Thieves and Crooks Now Rule the World and How to Take It Back, which is available in paperback wherever you get your books.